Uh, on YouTube for a little bit. All right, let me see if I got everything hooked up right. And we should be good. On YouTube. Oh, we are. For a little bit. All right. I think I am. All right, we should be good, Deanna. Let me see here. Oh, Jack, are you there?
I'm here, Bubby. I thought you were going to be out.
Yeah, well, I'm training my new trade analyst.
Oh, you
So
got a trade analyst?
we went to this Armature Works in downtown Tampa.
Yeah.
And then get this, you can only they only have 2 hour Wi-Fi because they don't want people to hang out. So then
Yeah.
you know where I took them? My other office,
Where?
Grand Cathedral Cigar Bar. It was an
There you
old
go.
old church they turned into cigar bar in Tampa. So I was there and then I came back for this, but I probably only have I don't know how long, not too long, but I know we uh talked about it, so I don't want to earlier in the week, so I don't want to bail on you. So I
No,
drove
that's good.
back. All I had was a Diet Coke today, so I know. Cigar and a Diet Coke. Well, I had a coffee too, but
Very
nothing
nice.
nothing crazy. By the way, Jack, that little biotech stock I bought,
Yeah.
UGN, they got halted with the PDUFA with the FDA approval. And I sold the calls at 410 from one, I think 75 yesterday. Yeah, 410. Pretty lucky. It was up like 60%. Now
Nice.
it's up 44%. But I got lucky on the you always talk about my scanner with these little unknown stocks. Well, it happened.
That's the best thing. I don't know if it is. I see a lot of regular stocks on that scanner, but to me, the hidden gold mine in it is when it finds you these little things,
Yeah,
right?
the little ones.
Is news. Somebody knows something and it's awesome for that.
Yeah, it was good. I mean I only did a few contracts, but I wish I bought, 100 135K worth.
Yeah.
That Oracle had a big pop too. You were talking about yesterday.
Yep.
It was a huge move too. What was it, $23? And the implied move was what, like 12 or something yesterday?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that would be a
7%?
good one.
Yeah.
How about that circle? Did you have that up?
Oh, let's look at it. I was talking to some guy today about it. Um, stock moves. Look at this. $12. I feel like it moves 10% a day on average.
I'm digging it. I took a little nibble.
Did you?
Yep.
Did you do stock or the option?
I'm doing the stock now, then I'll be doing the options.
What are you gonna do if it pulls back? You gonna buy more or just hold
Yeah, I'm
it?
going to buy some more. I'm going to do some naked puts. Um, I'm going to get a good position, do some covered calls way out there.
What do you think? Don't look at it. What do you think you could get for July monthly? Let's say 70 puts. So like right back where it IPO'd. What do you think you could get for them? Any idea? I haven't looked either.
I'll guess 440.
So you think basically four and a half bucks? I'm
Yeah.
gonna say, I was gonna say five. I'm gonna say $7.
Woo.
Yeah.
Well, if it's seven, I might have to do that trade here before the close.
What did I say? The 70?
Yeah,
They're only a buck 50. I feel like that's
that can't
cheap.
be right.
Yeah, no, no, it is.
What expiration?
July 18th. I feel like that's cheap. I mean, the stock did that in 3 days.
Yeah. All right. So what's the price is 105. What's a 115 call July 18th going for?
1080. So the call skew is a lot higher than the put
Ooh,
skew.
That's way out of bounds.
Yeah. Look, to give you all example of what a skew is, if you don't know what we're talking about, let's do some math here. I'll tell you guys some and girls. So let's just say hypothetically, let's use 30 bucks for the price. Okay. So the $30 out the money puts, or we'll use 35 bucks since we said the 75 puts. So $35 minus 105 gives us what? 70, right? So the 70 puts are about 140. Okay. If we do 105, the current stock price, plus 35, that gives us 140. So technically, the 140 call should be a 140, 150, right? The 140 calls are basically 550.
So
So
now
go ahead.
I'm just saying the market maker is afraid. He's afraid to sell calls. That's why he's jacked it up so much, is because he's got to cover his behind. If he shorts these options, right, or go buy the stock, I would not want to be an options market maker in this thing. It's got tons of risk for him too.
Why do you think the calls are more expensive than the puts? Because usually puts are usually more expensive because the cost of insurance is usually higher.
Yeah, it's the demand.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. There's
Yeah.
probably, I don't know, probably 20 call buyers for every put buyer in this thing.
Well, let's look at the stats, shall we? Because that's a huge discrepancy. And I got
Uh,
to run here in a second. I got to go get the cat real quick.
that's why I would like to be a seller of those calls, right?
No,
I got to
look
get
at
long.
that.
I
The
got to,
call put ratio is almost the same today, but the skew,
is way off.
yeah, look at the skew. It's way off. Jack, give me 1 second. If you want to go in why you want to be a call or why you want to be a seller of the calls, I
Yeah.
think it's a good topic. Give me like 10 seconds or 30 seconds.
Yeah. Why you want to be a seller of the calls is because that's where you're going to make a huge fortune. Everybody's paying a super premium on calls, not just calls on Circle, but calls on everything right now. Tesla, for example, huge premium on Tesla. And so selling it naked is a risky proposition. Let's say you got $100 stock and you sell a 110 call and the stock goes to 120 and you're naked. You got to go out in the open market and buy it at 120 to fulfill your obligation at 110 if you get assigned. So that's super risky. The other side is you buy a stock for $100, you sell a 110 or a 115 call, you get called out or assigned at that price, you make all the difference between the strike and your cost, $10, and then you make another whatever you make selling the call. And then you divide, let's say that's $25. That's a 25% hit divided by 100, which you use to buy the stock. So super high premiums. And I'm an income type trader. Do, I do some directional stuff with Lance. I like some of this stuff, but mostly I'm an income type trader. So on a stock like Circle, I would look to sell naked puts and I'd want to do it about 10% lower than the market price, 7 to 10%. And if I get assigned, great. I'm totally happy with it. Then I can start selling covered calls on it. Now, the other thing is, if you sell a naked put on Circle and you do get assigned, your cost is the assignment minus the premium you receive for selling the put. So that makes your cost basis even lower when you're doing that. And the really crazy part is if you do a naked put on margin, you only need to put down 20% plus the premium minus the amount out of the money, blah, blah, blah. It really averages about 20%. You need to have in your account cash to cover if you were to be assigned. And that's one of the weirdest things about naked puts is that 20%. That kind of flew below the radar of a lot of people that didn't realize that. So that's, when you buy a stock on margin, you got to put down 50%. To do a naked put on margin, you only need 20% of the underlying stock price. Therefore, the yield is going to be so much higher because you have way less capital in that trade. That's why I like them. The premiums are really high on that, and selling naked puts is awesome on stocks that you don't necessarily want to own, as long as they have, you they got to have two things for naked calls. I mean, for covered calls and naked puts, credit spreads, that kind of thing. It needs to have two things. It needs to have volatility, or there won't be any value in the options, and it needs to have a directional bias, preferably moving in a trend up, right? So stocks like Nvidia, they're perfect for all that. Naked puts, credit spreads, uh, all kind of spreads, calendar spread, yeah, everything. Indra. AVGO is another one, another really powerhouse stock that you can use, or even something less expensive if you want to just dive right into covered calls and naked puts. Hood, Robinhood, one of my favorite. Paul says he's been doing cash secured puts for the last 6 weeks, pulling in 1,000 per week in premiums. Way to go, Paul. Yeah, I love cash secured puts too. And I love them on margin. I love them both ways. And pulling in 1,000 per week in premiums. Now, Paul, let me ask you, do you do this just on stocks you would want to own, or do you do this when you find a juicy return by selling a naked put? Now, a cash secured put is a naked put too. Yeah. PLTR. Okay, great. A cash secured put is a naked put. It just means you have the cash in your account to cover the assignment if you were lucky enough to get the stock put to you. Yeah, PLTR is awesome. IBIT, that's a great one. I'm long, whew, probably long too much of that if you ask people, but I like IBIT. I love naked puts on IBIT. I love covered calls on IBIT. It's insane. I love that. Yeah. But the naked puts are good on it, but I think you'll do better on the covered call side as long as you have the underlying, right? Because I think IBIT is going higher. Yeah, Doug says he has it. I have IBIT. I pretty much, think if you believe Bitcoin is gonna go into mass adoption, then that's the better play. And speaking of why is it a better play? Why is IBIT better than buying straight up Bitcoin? Well, because Bitcoin is expensive, right? Yeah. Paul says, me too. Expect it to hit 70 by the end of summer. So IBIT is a proxy for Bitcoin. It's not Bitcoin. It moves just like Bitcoin. So what it is it's an ETF that's managed by iShares, BlackRock. And as a proxy, as a trust, whenever people buy the ETF, IBIT, the trust buys Bitcoin with it. So it's a spot ETF. It moves tick for tick with Bitcoin. Now, the other thing, Bitcoin, IBIT does not pay a dividend because it doesn't have a business, right? Bitcoin does not have a business. It's not a business, doesn't have a location, doesn't have employees. It's a weird thing. Yeah. Michael asks, what about Ethereum? ETHA. But yep, Coin's doing a new one. Let me go back to this Bitcoin. Okay. So you can't do options on Bitcoin. And then when they make it into a stock, IBIT, now you can do options on it. Now you can sell naked puts basically on Bitcoin, covered calls on Bitcoin, spreads on Bitcoin, all the good stuff. So the ETHA, the Ether, it doesn't have options yet. They've applied. They don't have options available for the Ether ETF, but the Ether ETF is exactly like IBIT. It's just that it's buying Ether. Yeah, if we don't get called away this month, Doug, I'm fine with it. That's how I do it every month is like IBIT. When I started, I picked a price, and this is my formula for covered calls. I'll just tell you. I buy the stock, I'm going to pick a strike roughly 7 to 10% higher than the price I just paid for IBIT. And I'm going to pick that out roughly 30 to 40 days out in time expiration. And that's always the case, right? Now, on expiration Friday, if you get the stock called away from you, then next Monday, I just turn around and buy the stock all over again and sell calls. But that's always it, right? So when I buy Circle, when I get up to 100 shares, that's the thing I'm going to do. Sell a call 10, strike price 10% higher, basically out there 30 to 40 days. Yep. Brandon Brown did not get filled on his SPX. Sometimes you might have to tweak what you want to pay. Yeah, Paul Phillips. That's cool that you're doing naked puts. IBIT, that's just so good. So talking about the two things a stock has to have good options. Volatility and a directional bias to the upside. That volatility, you can look at that based on a measurement called beta. Beta is just how volatile the broad market is. That's a beta of 1, the S&P 500. So any stock that's more volatile than the broad market, it's going to have a beta over 1. So I don't have my stat book here, but IBIT has a beta over 2. BLTR beta over 2. Right? Hood, same thing. That's why they're good. Wow, Roger. Roger sold Tesla 250 puts last Thursday for 640 that expire tomorrow, based on my comments. That's big money. Where is so yeah, so Tesla puts you got 640 for selling the Tesla 250 strike price put. That's
Holy,
dog, that's a great trade and it pays off tomorrow, right? That's
that's
good.
pretty big.
Yeah.
All right, I am back. It started storming out the blue, and I just got home.
I know it's about to pour down here.
Ooh,
Um,
did anyone buy UNH yesterday? Look at that rocket here.
I can't
Stock
mess
just,
with that, man. You know,
woo,
I'm a mercenary, but some things just don't sit right with me, and that's one of them right there.
they've been nailing the stock though the last couple days. Look at that.
So
Jeez.
Michael says, why not BITO and take the dividends? A BITO is a derivative fund, so it's making its money from selling calls on on Bitcoin. Sorry, BITO is strictly a derivative fund. Coney, same thing. BITO. Now, the problem with Coney, and I don't know about this with BITO, but all those yield max funds, the net asset value, if it goes down 40%, then that 100%
Yeah.
return doesn't look so good, right? Because you're getting killed on the underlying. So that's what people see on MSTY. All those yield max funds got killed. Doug says, I'm thinking about increasing my 100 to 200 shares of IBIT. Yeah,
Nice.
I yeah, I got a lot. Uh,
Very nice.
yeah, so Carol doing the same thing. So Carol bought Oracle, bought 100 Oracle. You always have to have 100 shares of the underlying, and then she sold a call 40 days out, right? If she doesn't get the stock called away, she's got, oh, Circle. She did it with Circle, not
Oh,
Oracle.
circle.
Yes, that's even better. So, you don't get called out on X 40 days out of your expiration, and you just do it again. I'll tell you a funny story about cover calls. I could go on all day about cover calls, but uh, the CBOE says it has less risk than owning a stock covered call. But the funny story is there was a rather elderly lady that only owned Walmart, and she had a ton of it. And she's had it for a long time and she didn't want to sell it, right? Didn't want to pay taxes, all that. So she starts selling cover calls. She makes $40,000 her first year. Now that doesn't seem like a lot, but for a retiree, on a fixed income, that was a difference maker without having to sell the stock and take a big tax hit, right? Just now she's paying regular income tax, regular tax rate on the covered calls, but that's a great way to get cash flow. So Joshua, I don't know if there's a website to see the beta, but if you just pull up a quote on Yahoo or any platform, it'll tell you what the beta is.
Yeah, Jack, I got to run here. I'm just
All
super,
right. Okay, my
super
man, I'm going
busy
to
here.
stick around for a few more minutes.
Okay,
And I'm gonna take them right into the coolest thing they may have ever seen on Tesla. Now I know you got a lot of cool things on Tesla, but I got a way to skin the cat too. I'm gonna talk to them about.
perfect. All right, thank you all, everyone. Again, sorry, I gotta dip a little early
All
here.
right, Bubby. I'll see you soon.
And if you're part of the 4 p.m., we've got another couple 100% winners today. So back on the horse's saddle. All right, thank you, Jack. Thank you all.
No problem. I'm gonna stay in here and answer a few more questions before we roll over. Um, okay. So iPad says I like naked puts on RCL and I take in 100 per week for a year now. Isn't that cool? 100 per week. That's awesome, right? That's a car payment. That's going out to play money. $100 a week selling covered calls. Beautiful. So Doug says, what is your favorite covered call service? It's the one I have, uh, the cash generation blueprint. I do that on Google every month with my own money on the line. It's a challenge. I do it with Goog. I do it with IBIT, and I do it with NVDA. Now, NVIDIA, you know, people know I got 7,000 shares of that. I'm using 3,000 shares, 30 contracts in that challenge. But for starters, if you just wanted to get going, IBIT is an awesome one to do covered calls on and naked puts on. They'll love those. So KLS Jack, are you still bullish on CoreWeave? I don't know if I'm bullish. I'm going to ride that bull. I'm going to get on it here in a minute, rodeo style. I'm going to get on my hang on, and I'm going to ride it. And once I get the hang of it, and then I'm going to come back and tell you how I did it and if I think you should do it. But I love the CoreWeave stock. I like how it trades. I like that nobody has a handle on it. The sky's the limit on this thing right now. All kind of nasty commentary about they only have one customer or just all kind of weird stuff. But that's what makes for the controversy. Like Tesla, it's a lightning rod. People love Elon or hate Elon. They love EVs or hate EVs. And that's what makes for a really powerful, volatile stock. The only thing I don't like about EVs is they just sound terrible to me. I like a good old internal combustion engine with a V8, but I'd never buy an EV. That's just me. So Chad Wright just wrote a July 95 put on Circle. Chad, what did you get paid for that 95 put on Circle? Carol, I like this. Carol's a day trader now. I bought Oracle and placed a sell order and made money overnight, $350 yesterday. Way to go. Go get it, girl. Yeah, if you do it in your retirement, there's no tax consequences. So I do cover calls in the IRAs till the cows come home. FinViz, RW says if you want to look at data, go to finviz.com. That's pretty cool. Bar chart, I use bar chart.
All right, I came back, Jack.
All
Back.
right. So iPad Chris wants to know what calls did we do today?
I haven't done. I sold everything. So I sold CVS calls for 40% intraday for Shadow Trader. Now they're up. Bottom at 86. Now they're 130, so it could have got more. I sold my URGN calls today from 175 to 410. Stock's up 50%. Uh, that's pretty much it.
Ticker for CoreWeave is CRWV.
Yeah,
Carol just did an overnighter on Oracle.
Oracle is very good. CoreWave, the volatility is starting to drop. So if you want to get directional, it probably will happen to that Circle stock too, I gotta imagine. But MFI vols came down a lot.
Yeah.
Option prices will be a lot cheaper here soon.
Roth account is good, Willis. If you have a Roth account,
Yeah.
you
Roth,
want to do any type of income or anything, you're not going to be taxed on that.
yeah.
Roth is good, right? MSFT calls are great, Kale, but I
Oh,
almost taken away from me. I had a risky deal. I sold the 465 call and I had to buy that back. I did not want to get called out. And here we go. Microsoft hits a 5-year high.
Jack, look at this. Look what, so a few weeks ago, I think we looked at them, that $20 million Microsoft call buyer.
Yeah, wait a minute. I think I took the screen.
Oh, sorry. If you could keep it if you want.
No, it's okay. Are
But
you doing NVIDIA puts? Are you buying NVIDIA puts?
no, hell no. No way. Not a chance in hell. We had Microsoft this morning. First thing that hit right at the open, trader bought 10 million in the Jan 510 calls. And then I bought the December 500 calls a couple weeks ago, and those are up like 30%. And that was a $20 million bet. So
What's
20
your
million.
expiration on that 500?
The first one was a couple weeks ago was the December 500s for
Dang,
20 bucks. And then today they bought the first thing as soon as the market opened was the January 2026 510 calls, 10.1 million. Pretty big bet, you know.
it is. Yeah, that is a big bet. Uh,
30 million in Microsoft over the past couple weeks,
yeah, I'm telling you though, man, when a stock hits a new 5-year high, that's a big deal because
Oh,
there's no overhead resistance, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
Stacy asks, can you be assigned on IBIT cover call? Absolutely, you can be,
yeah,
right? And that's good. You make a big profit on that sometimes, but sometimes you don't want to be called out if at a price below your cost basis. That's your main thing.
yeah. Yeah, I personally don't touch the crypto, but man, I would tell you those Microsoft calls have just
Crazy.
hot, hot. I mean, it's been a smooth trade too. It's just slowly going up, so you don't have to take any heat or anything, just
It's
slow
good.
and steady.
It's been a great stock.
Yeah, it's been really good. All right, we almost are at the close here, 2 minutes. I don't think what do we have? Restoration Hardware earnings. They had some put buying. Uh, was it a couple weeks, 10 days ago, and the 160 puts, but the implied move is about 25 bucks. So
Chad asks any core weave calls today. Not really.
no,
Not yet. I'm not yet. I'm about to get on. You ever seen them bull riders do it? They got to get in. They got to get a good grip on it, right? Then they nod and pull out the gate. Then I'm gonna ride core weave like that and get it figured out.
that's right. Yeah, ride that pony.
Circle. I bought a little circle today. The ticker is what is the ticker on circle? CRCL.
CRCL circle.
I bought that one today. I can't wait to see what kind of earnings they're gonna have.
Doug says, Lance, you put 30 million in Microsoft? No, no. I mean, I'll buy like a 5 lot or 10 lot. The options were like 20 bucks, so it's
Yeah.
2,000 bucks a contract.
Chime. Yeah, Chime. I bought some Chime today too.
What is it? Chime?
Chime. Yeah. New IPO fintech.
Oh,
Right.
look at you, Jack, doing the IPOs. I
Well,
like-
I watch some of these go from like if you ever look at Forge Capital or
Mhm.
some of those companies that have a platform for privately traded uh,
Right.
little tiny companies, and you see them do one round where you get in for $2, and then the next round is $10, and next thing you know, it's going public for $60. Yeah, it's a good one. All right, now I got something to share with them about Tesla. Should we get right into that?
Sure thing, Jack. I think you got yeah, I think you got the screen. Deanna, is all that ready?
Yeah, Jack has actually, yeah,